Good afternoon. Today's topic is the U.S. food crisis. And it was unknown to me and probably most people that 42 million Americans suffer from food insecurity that qualify for the Supplementary Nutrition Assistance Program benefits.
How many people in the population are affected by this?
1 out of 8.
Wow, that's a lot of people. That's more than
Well,
10%.
well, 42 million. It's almost 13% apparently. But
Wow.
and that doesn't include everybody. That only includes the people that qualify for this program. That doesn't include people that are suffering
Oh,
from food insecurity in the U.S.
right.
Now, the I think it's shameful that the richest country in the world has people that have to worry about eating. It's beyond me. And what we did was we had to look at, is this situation similar across all of the developed countries? And apparently it is. Canada, for example, has a huge number of people suffering from food insecurity regionally and locally. The shocker to me was that Alberta, the richest province in Canada, allegedly has the longest lineups at the food bank.
All I've
And
driven a
I'm sure
few
you know something
people
about that.
down to them, and they're long lineups. Like here in Calgary, it's pretty long. So yeah, here in Calgary, I've had the privilege of driving a few broke working friends down to get food because they don't even have a vehicle. And the lineups are horrendous. And Calgary is supposed to be one of the richest cities in the country, and they're spending billions of dollars in giveaways to billionaires, and the poor are left to fend for themselves. And if you drive downtown Calgary, holy crap, folks, all the poor people hanging around the buildings and pushing their shopping carts, and the homeless situation in Calgary is horrendous. I can just imagine what it's like in the U.S. Holy, unbelievable. Down in the States, Mr. Trump made a statement when he was running that eat the cats and eat the dogs statement, and he was telegraphing what he intended to people in the U.S. that are of colored skin and what he classes as immigrants, whether they're legally in the U.S. or not. He's going to make sure that you are going to eat the cats and eat the dogs because was and planned on cutting SNAP benefits as part of his program. And that, I do believe, folks, is what's going on down there. And one guy, this is funny, down in Florida, his neighbor's feeding his peacock, and he tells the neighbor, don't feed my peacocks or I'm going to have to them because they didn't want them over in the neighbor's yard or something. So he chokes his cock and he swallows it, and now he's up on third-degree felony charges because I guess in Florida it's against the law to swallow your cock because your neighbor feeds it. Just a observation, but it seems to be a reality that they're weird down there in the States. And you can't even choke your own chicken and eat it? Like, holy crap, folks. These are weirdos down there, you know. Trump making the claim that, you know, he's going to force everybody to eat their cats and eat their dogs is a reality. And now you're getting to see that Trump telegraphs exactly what he's going to force onto people before he does it. And now you got to see that. So I guess back to this serious issue of food shortages in developed countries, especially a rich one like the U.S., we need to start looking into this a little bit deeper.
In the Alberta statistics, they're saying that the national average of people who go to the food bank that actually have jobs is 19%. In Alberta, it's 30%.
Yeah.
So 30% of the people turning up at the food bank have jobs. Now, Alberta's got the lowest or one of the lowest minimum wages in Canada, and their excuse is because they have full employment, they don't believe anybody would ever take a job for minimum wage anyways. So you
Well, we
have to
have
look
a
at
high
that.
unemployment rate, 7% or something like that, which is significant because that doesn't even include people that are looking for work but don't qualify for UI or welfare statistics. And in Canada and Alberta, that's a reality. Many of the people don't qualify. The individual I took down doesn't qualify for welfare or unemployment insurance or any assistance, so he doesn't even show up as a statistic on their unemployment. And that's the case. Like when we graduated high school in 78, 79, we got the recession. Most of us were unemployed. We had a 25 to 30% unemployment. And right now, we see that there's probably 20 to 25% unemployment in Alberta. It's just hidden. It doesn't show up on the statistics again. And that's partly because you're shamed into existence if you can't get a job, and you're told, go scrub toilets, or go be a greeter at Walmart, or go take one of those minimum wage jobs. But the double-sided hand of that is, if you take that minimum wage job, you are forever labeled a minimum wage employee by any of the rich people that are going to be scrutinizing your resume for employment jobs in the future. So it's a double-edged sword. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. And believe me, folks, you are judged by the jobs you have as to what your worth is. And this is the capitalist means of keeping you under their thumb for cheap labor. And I think that is the root of what's going on in the U.S. Look at this Gatsby soiree down in Mar-a-Lago. It's totally flaunting in the face of these millions of people that were going to be on the streets. What did Marie Antoinette say?
Let them eat cake, but in Trump's case, it's let them eat soybeans, since apparently they have lots of soybeans rotting in bins. That would be a solution for the farmers, is take those soybeans and distribute them to the 42 million people that are starving to death in the U.S. And because Trump lowered the price and value of them, they should be really cheap on the market. 10 cents on the dollar, put soybeans in your plate, Americans. What's shocking, at least to me, is that they lowered the tax rate to the billionaires, increased the deficit down there, and aren't feeding their own people. Like I find that hard to imagine. And one of the giant holes in their budget, and I had to look this up, as we know, the U.S. Navy has moved a carrier strike group off the coast of Venezuela.
Yeah.
And that strike group consists of a number of aircraft supply boats, destroyers, and a submarine. It costs anywhere from $250,000 to $333,000 per hour, $6 to $8 million a day to operate that strike group. Now, instead of feeding the poor in America, they're going to go threaten the poor in Venezuela and spend a lot of money doing it. And I think it's shameful, absolutely shameful.
Those torpedoes and missiles got to cost a couple $1 million each. There's been about 15 boats now, fishermen's boats blown out of the waters around Venezuela right now. And Captain POTUS is up to international crimes while starving out his own people in the U.S. On the news release today, they stated that they're only going to fund 50% of November's SNAP program through emergency funds, and they won't have any money for December's, and they have no intention of capitulating, negotiating, or holding any meetings to reopen government. And folks, Captain POTUS, he's a criminal felon. He doesn't want to open up government. He's instructed, don't even talk to them, because if you don't open government, he can take over total control of your government with a dictatorship. Because he'll just say, I'm doing this because you can't open up your government. And that's probably what's going to happen, folks. You heard it here first.
Well, the shocking thing as well is the only reason they're funding anything at all is because they were ordered to by the courts. And you know that Trump has 3 judges sitting on the Supreme Court out of 9, and basically he controls the ultimate decision on all of these matters. And you can imagine what the Christmas is going to be like for these people that don't have food. It's shocking, and I hope people remember that and turn out at the elections, and vote these clowns out of office.
Well, well,
Now,
one
when
of
I
Trump's underlying motives is money gives him power. And he knows poor people will do anything for money. And when we look at there's a couple of songs out there about, poor women will do anything. And Trump knows that most of the women and young ladies that he took advantage of were poor, and they would do anything for money meeting the rich guys. And look at his wife, Melania. She come over here, met him at a rich man's party where they were paraded around to meet the rich guys, because the poor will do anything to meet and get out of poverty. And Trump and his billionaires know that. They're flaunting it in the faces of everybody over the Epstein files. Because the Epstein files was about billionaires exploiting the poor and vulnerable in society. And Trump wants to create that power structure again so that he and the billionaires don't have to disclose the Epstein files. And if there is a poor woman, they can try to take advantage of her because she has no money. And this is the capitalist model that Trump really is flaunting. And by holding a Gatsby party where, what was the theme of that party? Something about murders.
Great Gatsby.
Yeah, but the title of the party was something about it doesn't.
Well, the Great
Nobody
Gatsby
died by a party or something like that.
For those that weren't tortured in high school and had to read The Great Gatsby, it's a novel by Scott Fitzgerald, and it was one of my memorable fights with my literature teacher over a bunch of stupid things that were in that one. But anyways, it's about socialites in the Roaring '20s, and the Jazz Age in Long Island, New York, and that's exactly what they were trying to recreate for their Halloween party. And the Roaring '20s were just before the Depression, the Great Depression in the '30s, and I think Trump understands perhaps intuitively that whatever he's doing, he might as well have the Great Gatsby Halloween party, because we're moving towards a worldwide recession.
Well, I don't
I
think
don't
it's
know.
a worldwide recession. It's a worldwide depression. I mean, you look at all the money and billionaires that have skimmed off the top and not paying their fair share to society. You know that they know that there's 8 billion people on the face of the earth, and the food crisis going on right now is only going to get worse. And they're class structuring in capitalist societies now, where the rich will have the food and the poor won't have the food. And they're shifting the ideology that socialism is not good for them. Of course it's not good for them, because they can't hoard the food and the wealth. And now you're seeing that capitulate, where they've brought a billionaire now into the White House to ensure that no taxes will be paid by them, and the wealthy have their private parties. They have islands and resorts that peons can't attend no matter what. They can't go to these fancy dinners and can't get these fancy steaks and all that sort of stuff. Trump wants to bring in the Venezuelan steak so he'd get cheaper steak for his fancy functions and charge, $1,000, $1 million per plate to come and eat the Venezuelan, or not the Venezuelan, it's Argentine steaks. They're getting the steaks from Argentina. They want the oil from Venezuela. So, yeah, it's a crazy world out there, folks, and it's only going to get worse as the population increases, because food is going to be the commodity that governs countries and people's lives. Without food, you don't exist.
It should be remembered that Alberta declared a surplus in their budget this year. According to the Calgary Food Bank CEO, Melissa Frum, she says that they're seeing a record increase in the number of individuals that are relying on it. In 2019, the food bank was distributing hampers to 250 families a day. It's now up to over 800 families daily in Calgary. This is Calgary alone. And apparently, they now have 712,000 monthly visits compared to 300,000 in 2019. So, how can the province declare a surplus when people are lining up at a food bank?
Well, they're
Like,
not going to spend money to put food in the food bank's hands, that's for sure. I mean, they're the elitists again. They're funded by foreign interests to get them elected, and they're more than willing to hand billions of dollars to the oil and gas industry here in Alberta for free and say, oh yeah, we'll just open up more pipelines, ship more of our product out. We'll let you have our product for less than fair market value if you get it out according to our terms, and make sure you give me a nice appointee position after I'm booted out of politics. It's all job pandering for after they're out of politics and lying in the pockets of the friends. Even this government was accused of contracts for medical supplies, and they even got a Manitoba judge to whitewash it. They didn't give any evidence, so of course there's no crimes if you have no evidence provided, and they weren't obligated to provide testimony or statements or documents. So it becomes a real issue out here in Alberta, which is modeled off all the U.S. politics, because let's face it, folks, oil goes to the U.S. from Alberta and is owned and controlled by the U.S. So we're just a puppet state of the U.S. to begin with.
one of the things that is going wrong when you look at the United States is that 12% of the people who have food insecurity don't even qualify for SNAP. So the number isn't 40 million U.S. citizens; it's greater than that. And the number one, there's several states where the food insecurity is critical. In any event, there are several states that are well below the national average down in the U.S., and that's South Carolina, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, and Arkansas, all of which are Republican states. Now, you have to wonder how that could possibly happen. If you don't have food, why would you vote for the people that cut your food off? Makes no sense to me. In any
It's
event,
pretty horrendous, some of this stuff that goes on. And you're only as smart as your vote, I guess. And if you're voting to shoot yourself in the foot, shoot yourself in the foot, U.S., because we don't trust you anymore. You've shown us what you're about. You've been weighed, measured, and found really wanting. I mean, this is almost to the state of pathetic. And this dictatorship is coming into play in the U.S. That's all we see.
In any event, I wish all those poor people, like the 40 plus million people who are hungry in the U.S., get their food. But that takes us back to
people won't want to be starving, so you might want to lock up your cats and lock up your dogs. Poor old squirrel and poor old bunnies and turkeys are all going to be hunted down in the States.
They're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs.
They're not going to starve to death.
Oh, and another point that you made earlier is that illegal immigrants aren't on the SNAP program at all. So you can't blame this on them. You can't say that the reason we don't want to fund this is because these people are illegal immigrants.
Well, they're allowing those statements on X and on social media. They're allowing false statements about the immigrants being on SNAP and stuff, and that's blatant lies. And these lies should be held accountable before the courts. You can't go lying about things that are of importance in people's lives, and that's got to be dealt with in the next government for sure, if there ever is another government in the U.S.
Yeah. Oh shit. Well, in any event, up here in Canada, the
oh yeah, well that's a nice fat cat.
The cat. Oh yeah, she's
I'm
safe.
getting ready to eat them if I go hungry.
She's safe. On that note, goodbye.
Okay, folks, catch you later. Share, like, and don't have a...
Don't eat your cats.
Yeah.
Subscribe to the channel, give us a like, and please share the video. Don't be afraid to share this commercial with your friends too.